Hello everybody and welcome to the VBA Poke Center week number 6, and I am here with not Leaf this week, and I'm bringing it to you from my bed. So everybody, welcome Theo to the show, this week's
Hello.
special guest.
Hello.
You guys might know him as the coach of the Beantown Bionicles, and he's doing pretty average this season. I'm gonna give him a hard time the whole show, just so you guys know. This is the plan of the whole show. So I just want to tell everybody that this week is a little scuffed. I'm very exhausted. Theo's very exhausted. We both had our boosters this week. Leaf is out this week. Though we do have a special segment brought to you by Rhett later on in the show. So look forward to that. He's going to go over what's going on in the playoffs and everything like that. So that'll be good. But you're going to notice a few mistakes that I made this week. You're going to see week 3 screens, which it's not week 3 screens. I just couldn't bother to go back and change them. And the stats are actually from a couple of weeks ago, as I forget to update my stats. So I apologize for both of those. But everything else should go pretty okay, hopefully.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. So early on here, we're going to go over the matches that actually did not have any videos. So first one up is going to be the Island Dragons versus the Twin Leaf Tyrannotars. We got 4-1 versus, or 1-4 versus 4-1. The kills and most brought Pokemon, I don't think the most brought Pokemon changed for either of these. And then 17 win percentage, which is the lowest in the league, versus 73, which is the second highest in the league. As we go over to the team sheets here, we're going to see Dragapult, Hitmontop, Dryalgi being brought, Glaceon and Aerodactyl versus the Noivern, Asmodee, Rillaboom, Rhydon, Gardevoir, and Avalugg. So I would have been interested to see the weakness policy Avalugg, though, with the own tempo.
Yeah, that's really cool tech. Also, how did you pronounce that poison dragon Pokemon's name?
Dryalgi.
Dryalgi? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I always thought it was Dragalge or Dragalgi.
Well, but, it's algae, right? So it's a dragon. Yeah, it's Dryalgi.
That makes sense. I didn't realize algae was the whole thing. Is that in the Dex entry?
Yeah. I don't know if that's exactly how it said. I do have a book that could tell us, but I don't know where it is right now. But okay. That's how I've always said it, and nobody's corrected me, so I'm just gonna keep going with it until somebody does.
Sounds good.
But in this one, we do see the Tyrannotars go 2-0 against the Dragons. Dragons dropping another one this week. It's getting rough for them. They have one win. That was against the Latchkey Kids, but they haven't been able to pick up a single game other than that matchup. So,
yeah, it's been a tough season for the Dragons for sure. But I think at this point, it's going to be a learning experience from here on out. And Hawk can have some fun and just meme the rest of the season if he really wants to.
Yeah, I think he should try to. I think he has some good players coming up. I think he should try to knock some brackets down and stuff like that. I think.
And memes can get wins. So
yes. Just like I almost beat Rhett last season. All right, and our second matchup that we had is the Smokers versus the Sableyes. We got 1-4 versus 4-1 again. Kills don't really matter. I believe Nidoking and Indeedee continue to be the same. 31% versus 67%. Here are the team sheets. We have Sableye, so bringing the Sableye versus the Sableyes. Very interesting choice. Volcarona, Primarina, Corviknight, Stonejourner, and Boufflant. And that's a pretty good Corviknight set. And then we got the Ninetales, the Indeedee, the Slurpuff, Salazzle, Amaldo, and Flygon. And from what I heard, the Smokers had a really good game, though we don't get to see it, unfortunately. And they do win 2-1. But Trunks did tell me that he did play fantastically, and it went really well for him. So I would have liked to see it. It sounded good, but there's only so much I could do. A good win, though. For the Smokers, picking up against one of the top players in their division, so can never really complain when you're getting a win against a good player. So
yeah, absolutely. I would even consider that one an upset, at least from predictions. I think Trunks was the underdog going into the match. It's really cool to see an underdog actually, get the upset.
Yeah, it was a good one. I just, once again, some of these I'm like, man, I wish I could see that game.
Yeah, apparently this one was recorded, so we will be able to see it later in the season.
Okay.
Yeah, Sam's just been very busy.
Okay, fair enough. All right, going into match 3, we have the Delmise versus the Weezings 1 and 4 versus 2 and 3. Marowak and Melodic. Melodic, of course, one of the top kill leaders. 27% versus 46%. As we do go to the team sheet here, we're going to see the Purrloin being brought. Dracozolt, Melodic, Fletch Cinder, Gardevoir, Tangrowth versus the Orbeetle. I would love to see what this Orbeetle was doing. Delibird, Hydreigon, Pinerchant, Kingler, and Talonflame. And this one goes to the Weezings 2-1, and I noticed Melodic got some more kills because it's on top of the kill sheet again.
Yeah, I hope this one was recorded and maybe just released postseason or something later in the season, because this was a match I was really excited for because they're such good friends, and they both are very spicy players. And I saw a Mirror Coat on that Milotic, so I want to see if that actually played a role.
If that got a kill.
Right, or two.
The Delmise this season been a little bit disappointing, you know. I feel like they have a really good team, but I don't know if they're being held back by bringing almost the same Pokemon every single week, because they keep bringing the Hydreigon, the Pinerchant, and this stuff. So I don't know, man. I feel like
I mean, if he's comfortable with his core, he can stick with it as long as he's changing up his sets and everything each week to actually adapt to the other player. But Raz is definitely struggling this season. He's not the only one struggling that I'm surprised about, but it's unfortunate. But you know, I love Raz content. I haven't gotten much Raz content this season, which is really unfortunate. But hopefully we get some late season videos.
Yeah, that'd be good. I like Raz as well. He's pretty funny. So
yeah, really good guy.
Yeah, but man, he could still do something. I mean, go 6-6 or whatever. I mean, you could be doing pretty good. So
6-6 would be pretty impressive in a 10-game season.
Oh yeah, I always think it's 12 because there's 12 teams in the league now, like in each league.
All right, so we can chalk that one up to hashtag COVID booster moment.
Yes, booster moment. There's gonna be a lot of those. All right, and the final one that wasn't recorded, I believe this one I was told was recorded, but the recording was never released. We have the Rebellions versus the Kids, 5-0, 1-4. A lot of kills to very little kills. Dragonite and Dracovish, 71% to 27. So look at the team sheets here. We see, I know it was a little bit of an upset for you, but Rebellion definitely took the award for the worst sheets every single week, because these things are about 17 pixels.
Yeah, that's true. But at least there's a team sheet.
Yeah. We got a Dragonite, Malamar, Togepi, okay. Whimsicott, the Blastoise, and Kangaskhan versus Bolton, Double, Klefki, Phalanx, Dracovish, and Palosand. I've wanted to see this Double for a lot longer time. I'm the one who suggested Leaf get it. Pretty early on, I said this should not be a tier 5 Pokemon because it's kind of busted. But nobody's been really using it. And there's 2 of them out there, but they're not being utilized.
Yeah. It needs proper support. It needs the proper other pieces around it, unfortunately. Yeah. It can't run on its own.
I mean, he has Klefki. He can set up some screens, do some stuff, and make the thing super bulky. But we see Rebellion take this one 2-1. I mean, Rebellion playing insane. I believe Leaf got game 1. I believe, and then Rebellion won the last 2 games. Rebellion has showed throughout the whole season that they're very good adapting if they lose one game. Yeah,
they are on fire. Hyper offense. Lucian's using hyper offense, and he's using it really well. It's as soon as he gets going, it's really hard to kind of slow him down.
Yeah, I agree. I think his Pokemon are relatively weak to ice, but nobody really drafted too many ice Pokemon, so, and he does have counters to it, of course, but, maybe 1 good ice attack, 2 good ice attacks could really do some damage,
Yeah, and I mean, Whimsicott Tailwind support is just amazing.
Yeah,
so.
Next to something like Dragonite and stuff.
Yeah, something that's kind of like that mid-tier speed, upper to mid-tier speed. It's just really good.
Yeah, it's really good. He's definitely going to be in the playoffs. I mean, he just needs to win next week, which I think he already played his game. I don't know if he won or not, but yeah, and he'll be in. So, all right. Actually, is he already in? No, yeah, because he's 6-0 now, right?
6-0. Oh
so
yeah, he's clinched. Yeah. Congrats.
The first one on the list, I believe.
All right. Hashtag booster moment.
All right, and our next game, we got the Weasels versus the Greninjas. We got 1-4 versus 4-1. There's a lot of 1-4s versus 4-1s this week. They both have pretty good kills. Kingdra versus Togekiss, I believe those are still true. 38% to 73%. Let's go look at the team sheets. We got Incineroar, Raichu, Politoed, Escavalier, Carbink, Munchlax. You love to see the Munchlax. We got Indeedee, Slurpuff, Starmie, Jolteon, Altaria, and Togekiss on the other side. And this one was a pretty good game, as in game 1 we see the Indeedee male and the Starmie. This is a common thing we've been seeing all season by both of the Starmie users setting up that psychic terrain. And we see Raichu, Incineroar on the other side, and we see the Togekiss come in pretty late, and it just kind of takes over the game, is able to take out Carbink, Raichu, and Incineroar pretty much all in a row, with Indeedee falling in between those, and Indeedee picking up the first kill for Greninjas, who went down pretty early to 2 Pokemon, so it was 2v4 for a while, and yeah, Indeedee Togekiss was just too much for him.
Yeah, I think, I mean, the Weasels came in, this game 1, they had a very clear plan. The plan was get screens up to support Munchlax in the back, and set up Trick Room and Belly Drum with Munchlax, and then sweep. And they actually did it really well. They got their screens up, and they were able to pivot the Munchlax in safely while on the same turn that they set up Trick Room. The unfortunate thing was that the next turn where he Belly Drummed and set up that Munchlax, Starmie got a really lucky Scald Burn right there, and then that kind of just nullified it right there.
Yeah, it's stuff like that sometimes, that makes Starmie the MVP of the half season, so,
It's true.
Going into game 2, we see the exact same 4 Pokemon being brought by the Greninjas, and almost the same for the Weasels. The only change that we do end up seeing is into that Escavalier for that Raichu, and yeah, it was clear what they're trying to do, the same exact thing, but this time the Greninjas just had their number and was able to just stop the Trick Room setup with the early Indeedee kill. Though Munchlax did come in and still get a kill on Slurpuff, getting 2 kills in this total matchup versus Slurpuff. So, Munchlax, man.
Yeah, Munchlax did work. Yep, couple kills, yeah, and I agree. As soon as, this time he led with the Carbink to set up Trick Room turn 1, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
And just the double up, being able to take out Carbink and not having Trick Room on a Trick Room heavy team with Escav and Munchlax in the back, it just wasn't gonna happen. And Sasori brought a couple fire coverage moves with Togekiss, and I think it was the Indeedee as well with Mystical Fire.
Yeah.
And if Escavalier isn't going first, it's going down if you have fire coverage.
It did get a kill on Indeedee, actually. I think it was on second or third turn. It just absolutely annihilated that thing. But after that, yeah, it just couldn't do anything to the Togekiss, and yeah, MVP of this.
It was a close game. The game 2 was pretty close at the end, but I think the Weasels would have taken it if they got Trick Room up that turn 1. If for some reason they got it up, I think they would have taken that game. But yeah, that losing Trick Room early on there, that was it. I didn't think they were going to come back, but they kept it pretty close. Yeah,
it was a good game. It was a good one to watch first as I was dying in my bed. I watched this one. So, but I give the MVP to Togekiss just because of how controlling of the game it was, and it also ended up getting 4 kills, so it did pretty decent as well.
Yeah.
All right, going into the next game, we have the highly anticipated Tricos versus Bashers, 5-0 versus 4-1. They both have lots of kills. Garchomp and Rillaboom, 83%, which is the highest in the league, 75, which at the time was the second best in the league. And looking at the teams, we see Meowstic, Toxicroak, Trevenant, Vikavolt, Starmie, Garchomp versus Slowking, Archeops, last week for Archeops, Kangaskhan, Rillaboom, Pangoro, and the Magmortar. And we see the first game, we see the Bashers lead Slowking, Kangaskhan up against Meowstic, Garchomp, looking pretty good for the Bashers here to maybe set up a Trick Room with their Slowking, but the Slowking wasn't running Trick Room. It
Not
was
at all.
it was running a very bulky stored power set, and I think, in my opinion, in this situation, if they were running Trick Room, I think they could have taken this first game, as they do go down with Pangoro getting a couple of kills actually on Meowstic and Garchomp, pretty convincing kills as well. And but the Garchomp killing the Slowking and Starmie coming in, getting a double kill against Pangoro and Kangaskhan. Yeah, I think if it was a Trick Room set, I think he could have had this game.
Yeah, I can see an argument for that. Yeah, I'm sure that's what Otto, or the coach of the Tricos, probably thought as well. That first turn is that Slowking was probably going for Trick Room, but Goomer brought a pretty cool, pretty spicy Slowking set. Very curry like Slowking set. Just bulking up, not bulking up, what am I saying? Well, technically, yes, bulking up. Iron Defense, Calm Mind, and Stored Power is really neat with the Slack off. It's unfortunately he wasn't able to get one Iron Defense off before that, or on that first turn, since he got faked out. But I think if he did get
an Iron Defense off.
On turn 1? I thought he got
Kangaskhan faked out the Meowstic, and he went for Iron Defense, and Garchomp went for the Sword Dance.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it was a cool set, but a more standard set probably would have been better there. But we gotta give him the Spice Award. Is there a Spice Award? We gotta give him a Spice Award.
I mean,
he also had a really
cool. You want.
That's right. He also had a really cool Kangaskhan set as well with the Fling King's Rock. So with the double flinch turns with the Kangaskhan, which was really cool to see.
Yeah, I was hoping to see the Kangaskhan actually flinch with another move like Icy Wind that it was running. Because I think that would have been hilarious, but unfortunately we didn't get any of that.
Yeah, but I mean, you still get a fling flinch though, which is great. And I got to give it to Goomer too. He's been proving me wrong with the Pangoro, because I don't personally think Pangoro is that great. But he's been doing work with that Pangoro.
yeah, has been doing pretty well for him. I also am not a fan of Pangoro. He just has too many weaknesses. He's too frail. But I mean, he showed that he could do some damage in this game 1. But in game 2, it was a lot closer, as we see Archeops and Rillaboom up against Garchomp, Toxicroak, and we had the Kangaskhan, Pangoro in the back, who both did absolutely nothing besides get killed by this Toxicroak here, who was just taking names with Toxicroak at the beginning of this game. Just Pangoro, then Kangaskhan. He even poisoned. He just did absolute work, and then Rillaboom came in, was able to take him out, but it was a little bit too late. As Starmie does take out the Rillaboom, Garchomp taking out the Archeops, but also dying to the Life Orb at the end of the game to make it a 0-1. But that Toxicroak, I just felt like the Bashers weren't ready for what the Toxicroak was doing, and.
Yes and no. I think you can't really account for the poisons, right? The poison touch poisons from the Toxicroak, and both of the poisons actually mattered in this case, because the Pangoro would have stayed on the field for an extra turn if he didn't get poisoned, and it would have taken out I think it had a chance to take out the Toxicroak after that if it didn't die to poison, or take out something if it didn't die to poison that turn. That really stunk because the Pangoro looked really good in the matchup. And this game it didn't, I don't know, both games felt really close, but it felt like it came down to 1 or 2 plays at the end. And I'm very impressed by how Goomer kept it so close, because it felt a lot of times that Otto was kind of, in control the whole entire time, but somehow Goomer kept it close. And I don't know how he did it. But this was a really fun set to watch. For example, like game 1, the second to last turn, I think it came down to whether he was going to body slam with Kangaskhan onto the Starmie or Icy Wind. And I think if he went for Icy Wind,
he would have
that
won,
second to last term. Yeah, because I think it would have KO'd the Garchomp, right? Because the Garchomp was around like 25% or 25-30% HP left.
And then it died to Life Orb. That's why he didn't go for it, because it was going to die to Life Orb anyway.
Yeah, these were two very close games, even though it didn't necessarily feel like it.
Yeah. And Starmie showing again why it's the mid-season MVP, getting 3 kills, not even dying. So
yeah, I mean, Starmie's very good.
Yeah, we've already seen Starmie do some work, getting 5 kills in both games. I mean, you can't really argue with that, and only dying once. Starmie's surprisingly insane. So
yes, in this format, I could definitely see it with that 115 speed and pretty solid special attack stat. And then both the Starmies from both divisions, I think, have Psychic Terrain support with Meowstic here, and then Indeedee on the other side,
Yeah. Goes 2-0 to the Bashers, MVP Starmie. Was really good game. Starmie also survived a drum beating, so that was good.
Yep, with the help of the Rindo Berry.
Yes. All right. The next game that we have here is the Stunfisks versus the Guzzlords. 2-3 versus a very unfortunate 0-5. They both have a lot of kills. Minshell versus Excadrill, 50% game win percentage versus 23. So we go look at the teams. I'm just going to say I am glad that that Bubble now has a capture card. His facial reactions are priceless.
Yes, and the quality of the game picture looks great.
Yes, it looked really good. We got a Moongus with Metronome because it's going to click that rollout. We have a Claydol, Drapion, Jellicent, Golduck, Physical Golduck, mind you, and Minshell versus Excadrill, Mr. Rhyme, Sneasel, Bravery, Gigalith, and Stoutland on the other side. Going into game 1, we do see the Sneasel plus the Mr. Rhyme versus the Minshell and the surprise Golduck, who does get a boost off of the coaching from the Minshell, which took me by surprise when he clicked that. I was watching on Bubble's side for this one. And Minshell takes out the Mr. Rhyme pretty early on. The Golduck does some work killing the Braviary and killing the Gigalith later on in the game before it dies to its own Life Orb. Drapion kills the Sneasel. The Drapion seemed to be a bit of a challenge for the Guzzlords in this whole set. Mr. Rhyme didn't really do too much in this first game. Jellicent went down to Braviary, and Gigalith did kill the Minshell, but this physical Golduck, I don't think Guzzlords were ready for it either. I don't think anybody was ready for it.
Yeah, physical Golduck is definitely uncommon, but that's Curry, so he brings stuff that's uncommon, and I'm sure folks have noticed from the team sheet and our next game as well, what else was uncommonly, uncommonly seen, not commonly seen.
Never seen, I would say.
Never seen, yeah. I haven't seen it in VGC before, but it was really interesting. I really liked the coaching into Golduck tech. I thought that was really clever.
Yeah, right out the get-go too, just to like, here it is kind of thing, you know. But yeah, the Stunfisks have been kind of on a slide recently after their first loss, so it's good to see them, try switching things up and trying something different to try to get those wins. So next we have Stoutland and Braviary as the leads for the Guzzlord versus Drapion, Jellicent. And then we had a good Excadrill in the back and Mr. Rhyme. We see pretty early on this Amoonguss comes in after Jellicent goes down to Stoutland, and it clicks rollout.
Yeah, the classic. I think Bubble said it in his match. Oh yes, the rollout Amoonguss.
Yeah, exactly. And it did pretty good. It couldn't really hurt Excadrill, but it was fun to watch. And of course, if you do click rollout, you can't change them. You can't pick the target. It randomly picks the target. you're kind of stuck sitting there. You only click in one move every turn, so.
I didn't know that. I had no idea. So that I was like, why didn't you hit into the Stoutland? But yeah, he couldn't choose his target.
Nah, he couldn't. It's unfortunate in that way, but it was still fun to see. It did go down to Stoutland a little bit after that, and Excadrill was able to pick up the Drapion. So 3 kills actually for the Stoutland in this one, getting Jellicent, Amoonguss, and Minchow at the end of the game. So great work by Stoutland. And I've said this all season, nobody is better in game 2s than Bubble. Nobody. He's 4-0'd people, 3-0'd people all season in game 3s. The problem is he cannot win game 1 and he cannot close the game. Oof. And it be like that sometimes, you know. That's just, you know.
Yeah. I mean, something that a piece of information that was revealed in game 2 at the very end was that going into game 3, I think was really important. Was that I think Curry found out that Excadrill was scarfed this game at the very last turn. I don't think he knew, which is why he went for coaching into the Golduck, and in turn went coaching into nothing because the Excadrill was scarfed and knocked out the Golduck. I think that's what happened, or it was
that was in
the
game
Golduck
3. That was the next game.
Oh, okay. We'll move on.
As game 3, we see Stoutland Braviary up against Drapion Minchow. Pretty early on, we see the Drapion pick up Braviary, but then switch out for the Golduck, like you were talking, and we did see that the Minchow, it was the Minchow went down to the and Golduck stayed alive, so there was nothing there, and then it died soon. No, wait, hold on. Yeah, that's what happened. The Minchow died first, then the Golduck was left by itself, so it wasn't able to hit there. With the coaching, I think the coaching was meant to go onto the Amoonguss in that second game, not the Golduck. I think that's what we were thinking. I also watched this one when I was laying in bed half dead. So
yeah, the coaching was it was going into Drapion, so that was my bad.
Drapion.
It was meant to go into Drapion, and then Drapion went down to the Excadrill.
Oh yeah, I see it right here. Yeah, Drapion to Excadrill. Yep. Okay. Yeah, I'm right there with you now. Once again.
Hashtag booster moment.
Yeah, booster moments. So the second game, we do see pretty early on the Drapion take the kill. We see Minchow also one-shot this Excadrill, and Claydol ends up taking out the Mr. Rhyme, but not before Mr. Rhyme takes out Golduck, and Minchow dies to the Stoutland, and Drapion cleans up the Stoutland, giving the Stunfisk the 2-1 victory in this set. Something I think that the Guzzler could have did to win game 3 was to cycle that Stoutland. The Stoutland stayed out there the whole game. I think getting to Intimidate when he only had 2 Pokemon left could have been a huge advantage. And then it could have gone for Snarls to lower the Claydol as well. So
yeah, I agree with that. If he got one cycle of Intimidate off sometime during the battle, that probably would have been better. But at the same time, when it comes down to it, I think that crit actually mattered from the Shadow Claw, because the crit would have bypassed any Intimidate boost or Intimidate drop, and then it put it in range. What did it put? It crit something.
I think it was Mr. Rhyme.
Was it Mr. Rhyme? Yeah. It crit something that brought it down to about 30%, 25 or 30%, versus closer to 50% health. And Claydol wasn't doing any damage. Very minimal damage from the Claydol.
He was doing nothing.
yeah. I mean, the crit with Shadow Claw is 1 in 8, so I mean, it was a pretty high chance of it. But at the same time, I'm curious what would have happened, how that game would have played out if the Shadow Claw didn't crit.
Yeah, but I mean, that's something you can't count for. You still got to cycle your Intimidates, and you can't say it's not going to matter, because maybe Mr. Rhyme's the Pokemon that came out to bring Stoutland back in, and then that Shadow Claw goes into the Stoutland, which then doesn't work, kind of thing. So there's all these different situations, but it would just been nice to see Stoutland kind of switched out and used in that way, instead of just staying in, because both of the games that he was in, he was in, and he was in. That was it. He didn't leave.
Yeah. This set was really fun to watch. A lot of that is because a lot of these sets were really wonky. from the rollout of Moongus to I thought screens on Sneasel was cool. The physical Golduck. But more importantly for me, it was the sturdy Gigalith. What did you think about running sturdy Gigalith instead of the Sandstream? Do you think Sandstream would have been better in this case?
I mean, he's been trying to switch up the Gigalith, but I mean, the Gigalith, he only used it in game 1. It didn't really do too much, and the Sandstream wouldn't have saved it anyways. It wouldn't have changed the outcome of game 1, so I don't think it really mattered that much, especially if you're just going to run Choice Scarf on Excadrill. I mean, it could have made it so that way you ran, Choice Band instead of Scarf on it, so I guess maybe it could have did more damage, but it was already doing a ton of damage, so who knows.
Yeah, it was a fun set.
Yeah,
definitely a fun set.
It was MVP for me. I mean, I would say the Stoutland because it did tons of work, but that's on the opposite team. I'll give it to Golduck because there was no really standout Pokemon. It seemed like every Pokemon did their job, did what they were supposed to do, and just kind of, that's how it worked.
No MVP to rollout of Moongus?
Seeing as how he only killed Braviary and then did like 4 damage to Excadrill 2 turns in a row, I gotta pass on the Amoonguss getting it.
Sounds good.
Though it is a shame that there is no Spice of the Week. That's another thing. There's no Spice of the Week this week, guys. Because that would have been definitely in there. It killing Braviary would have been hilarious. All right. Our next game that we have the Drapions versus the Berserkers. We got 1 and 4 versus 2 and 3. They both are pretty low in kills. Dragapult, Raichu, 31% versus 42%. As we bring up the Team Sheeps, Team Sheeps. Yeah, they're Team Sheeps. Mr. Mime with Filter, by the way. Leftovers Filter. Torracat, Barnacle, Togekiss, Lucario, Dragapult versus Vanillux, Raichu, Lapras, Arcanine, Decidueye, and Mantine. That's looking like a pretty brutal team over there on the Berserkers. I would definitely be scared to play this one, but we see Lucario Dragapult game 1 versus Raichu and Arcanine. And now, honestly, this lead looks very good for the Berserkers here, but I feel like the Drapions were able to just perfectly counter everything that the Berserkers were doing in this matchup. They were able to just switch in the right Pokemon, do the right things, and just keep themselves ahead every step of the way in this game 1.
I completely agree. Yeah, I have a note here that the Lucario, the way Emilius worked the Lucario was amazing. It was really well done. It did so much work. He was able to set up the Swords Dance, and every turn he used Detect were turns where Lucario was doubled into. So yeah. I mean, he made all the right calls. Yeah.
And it was good to watch. We got the switch into the Torracat early to get the Arcanine off the back of Lucario. So Lucario could kill the Raichu. Raichu not having the Focus Sash on it. Going down to that, and then Lucario just said, I'm a just extreme speed. I'm an extreme speed, and I think I'll click extreme speed. And it got a 4 kill on this one. And Dragapult going down to Vanillux. Dragapult, probably the most disappointing Pokemon of Season 3 here, as being one of the top Pokemon in the whole format. It just has not performed.
It's definitely more limited without Dynamax, that's for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, Lucario getting 4 kills there. A 3-0 victory in Game 1 to the Drapions. Game 2, we see Barnacle, Dragapult versus Arcanine and Decidueye. And this lead also looks very, very good for the Berserkers here. But, once again, the Drapions playing out of their mind this week. I don't think there was anything the Berserkers could have did, especially in this one, where it just seemed like the Drapions were watching what moves they were picking. That's what it just felt like. Every single time they just had the Berserkers' number. Everything they did, they were switching perfectly. They were, positioning perfectly. We did see the Decidueye actually kill Togekiss and kill Dragapult, but it wasn't enough at the end of the day, And Torracat actually getting 2 kills But Barnacle getting a kill on Mantine, and Togekiss killing Arcanine. So they didn't even bring the Lucario game 2. I felt like I'd bring the Lucario game 2. I feel like Lucario's very good in this matchup just in general. So I don't know.
He did a good job scaring the Berserkers with the Lucario, forcing them to adapt to it and then just not bring it.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, Amelia's played really, really well this second game too, and that's not knocking on Ollie either, because Ollie didn't necessarily make a lot of bad calls or anything. Not many calls I would consider bad. It was just that Amelius was making all the right calls.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't a steamroll by any chance. I mean, it was pretty close. Ollie had a few good plays. I especially liked, there was one turn where he hadn't revealed Blizzard on Mantine yet, but he was in front of it was Mantine in front of a Togekiss and Dragapult, and he switched into Vanilluxe to get a 100% accurate Blizzard. Didn't KO both of the folks, but I thought that was a pretty good play. Yeah, it did tons of damage. Yeah. And the Mantine set was pretty fire. I mean, it had bulky, but it also had Mirror Coat. A lot of Mirror Coat users all of a sudden.
Yeah, I mean, people are just bringing stuff now. You got to bring stuff, you know. You got to surprise people. But yeah, like I said, the Berserkers didn't play bad. Maybe game 1 they could have made some more decisions, you know, predicting some of those. But game 2, it was just like, even though it was close, I just felt like the Drapions had it from turn 2, you know what I mean? It just seemed like, well, this lead's really good for the Berserkers to... Well, he's just calling everything, and it's just right. I don't know how you can't beat that sometimes, you know?
Yeah, he was making... Amelius made all the right calls. Ollie did hold his own. He kept it pretty close, and I think towards the end of the game, there's Togekiss air slashed into Mantine and flinched it. I don't know if it would have changed the outcome if Mantine didn't flinch, because it would have got another Blizzard off and taken out the two things on the field at that point, I think, or at least take out the Togekiss at that point. So yeah, it makes me wonder if Mantine didn't flinch that turn, whether or not Ollie or the Berserkers could have possibly taken the game. I don't think so, but he kept it very close.
Yeah, we'll never know. We got the game in front of us. That was what happened. It was a good game to watch, though. I like that game, too. If you're going to watch one game this week, watch that game, too.
That sounds good.
All right. Next, we have the Kinglers versus the Arcanines. 4-1 versus 2-3. Both have a lot of kills. Liepard versus Primarina, 64 versus 42. Going into their team sheets here, we have Abomasnow, Arctivish, so already setting the tone of what they want to go for. Crobat, Indeedee, Marowak, Nidoking versus Rotom, Garchomp, Absol, Primarina, Lickitung, and Frostlass. So both teams bringing some stuff this week.
Yeah.
So
these are two scary teams.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Arctivish. I'll just put it out there. But so in turn 1, we see the Absol and the Frostlass. Odessi, MVP of the last game was Lucario. So we see Absol, Frostlass versus Crobat, Abomasnow, and this was very, very unfortunate for the Arcanines here, as the Crobats, or the Abomasnow goes for Blizzard's Choice Scarf, so the thing is fast, which I think took Krabby by surprise right out the get-go. The Kinglers were thrown off, but the Crobat actually misses the Heat Wave and then gets hit by Stone Edge. Yeah, double miss and then gets hit by Stone Edge. It probably would have been a double kill and just missed the double kill to go down to that. I thought that was a really cool play. I know it sucks, but I love to see things like that. It's just like...
Yeah, I wonder if it was calced. I wonder if the Heat Wave would have KO'd the Frostlass. I know Frostlass is like glass, but I mean, it was around like 75 to 80% HP.
I think it kills. If it's max special attack Crobat, which I'm assuming it was.
Well, we don't know. We don't know, right?
We don't know. But instead, we see the Absol actually take out the Crobats. And then we see Arctivish come in, and Arctivish just cleans up the whole rest of the game, getting a kill on Rotom with Meteor Beam. Of course, this thing is super fast. Meteor Beam is pretty good. Killing the Frostlass, killing the Primarina. Abomasnow killed the Absol, but yeah, it was too much. This thing being so fast, he didn't even go for, like, have a Fishious Run set. He's just going for it. You know, it's all special attack. You love to see a Blizzard, everything like that. So, really good cleanup by this Arctovish in game 1.
Yeah, for sure. Special Arctovish with Meteor Beam was really good tech. And I mean, the fact that it caught a Rotom on the switch in, that definitely helps, right?
As soon as he switched it in, I was like, bro, you can't switch that in because if he goes for Fishious Run, you're dead. And then I see Meteor Beam, and I'm like, bro, you're still just dead.
Yeah, there wasn't a safe switch at that point.
No.
Yeah, this was a really interesting game because both teams revealed who their Scarf user was turn 1, but because Frostlass outsped Crobat, and then Abomasnow outsped Crobat as well. So you revealed both Scarf users. The only problem was that Joe had went for a taunt and choiced himself into a taunt. So it was obvious at that point that he had to switch out the next turn. So it was a safe, it was a safe turn 2 for Dan for sure.
Yeah, it was just, I wasn't expecting the Meteor Beam. I'm like, you got to go in the Primarina because he's going to go for Fishious Rend. You can at least survive that. And then he's like, nah, Meteor Beam. It's like, yeah, now you ain't
nothing was surviving.
Get done.
Nothing was surviving.
Game 2, we see the Rotom right out the get-go versus the Frostlass going for a Marowak and the Crobat with Arctovish and Abomasnow in the back versus Lickitung and Absol. And this went pretty much the same way Game 1 did, except different leads. Marowak was able to kill Absol halfway through, but yeah, getting the Abomasnow in, it dies to Absol, but it just sets up that hail for the Arctovish, who kills Rotom, Frostlash, and Lickitung. And yeah, there's just really nothing that the Kinglers have for this Arctovish Abomasnow combo. It's a very strong combo. And if you're not ready for it, it's just one of those ones that can just take the game, you know?
Yeah, we didn't see much from we didn't see anything from the Rotom Game 1 since it died on Switch In. But I think in Game 2 we found out that it was a bulky set. It was like bulky with no or little speed investment because I think if he ran a fast Rotom and went with the Icy Wind to just drop the Crobat speed to -1, and then Rotom would outspeed Crobat. If he invested in a fast Rotom, I think it would have been a different game. Or it would have been a lot harder for Dan.
Yeah. I still think that there's not much he had for the Arctovish, because the Arctovish is going to take any hit from Rotom and be able to hit it with that Meteor Beam all day. As soon as the Arctovish gets up that Meteor Beam, it can just keep clicking Blizzard, and it's just going to be tough for anything. And I'm assuming he had a water attack on there that he never revealed. Oh, no, he did, didn't he? He used Hydro Pump later on, right?
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
So yeah, I think he had it anyways because Frostlass, I believe, set up the rain at one point. Was that in this game?
It had Rain Dance. I don't know if it was in the first game that he set up Rain to slow down the Arctovish, I want to say, but I don't remember. I think he used Rain Dance and to try to slow down the Arctovish, but Arctovish still outsped the Absol and took out the Absol, I think. Is that what happened?
Something like that, yeah. I don't remember. All I know is it's a lose-lose, right? You set up the water for it, now it's going to hit Hydro Pumps that boosted, and it's like, it was just a bad situation.
I don't think he necessarily had a better move, though, in that case.
Yeah.
Because Abomasnow is choice locked into Blizzard, so like you set up Rain Dance, maybe the Blizzard misses in the rain, and then maybe the Absol is alive to that's what happened. Absol still went down to Blizzard from Abomasnow after setting up a Rain Dance. So Abomasnow couldn't get a Stone Edge off on the Arctovish. I mean, I don't think there was a better move than that. It was just really unfortunate because I think then it was a double KO at that point. But on the off chance, let's say he sets up Rain Dance, Blizzard misses, Absol takes out Arctovish, then you're in an okay spot, but not necessarily. I don't know if it would have changed the outcome of the match.
Yeah, that's kind of what it came down to. Was just this combo was just a little too good this week. And the MVP was Arctovish, got 6 kills. I like Arctovish, I like Dracozolt, I like them all, so I always like when they get kills.
Arctovish did work this game. But yeah, like I said before, I really wish it was a fast offensive Rotom. I don't know how much Rotom Thunderbolt does to Arctovish, but it would have been better to see. And Dan just had complete speed control in game 2 because he set up the Tailwind. So even if for some reason Rain Dance gets off, like Arctovish is still going to outspeed stuff in Tailwind.
Well, I mean, even Heat Wave would have been decent too. So
yeah, because
it's neutral against Arctovish, but that's the things you can't prep after you've lost. You know, it's too late. yeah. I learned that last season. All right, so our next game we have the Grimmsnarls versus the Minchinos. The 2-3 Grimmsnarls who started off 2-0 and dropped 3 straight games versus the 2-3 Minchinos, who also started off 2-0 and dropped 3 games. So this is interesting to see if somebody can get it back on track here. We have Azumarill versus Swampert, 50% game win percentage versus 42. As we go to the team sheets, we see Bisharp, Azumarill, Thwackey, Cinderace, Bionicles, there we go, Crustle, versus Ninetales, the Alolan, Metagross, Alolan, Swampert, Crobat, Centiskorch, I love the Centiskorch, and the Grimmsnarl. Pretty basic Grimmsnarl set. I don't hate it. I like Grimmsnarl.
Yeah, she's brought the same Grimmsnarl set almost every week, I think.
That's fine. I'll bring it every day too.
Yeah. I mean, if it works, it works, you know.
We see the Azumarill, Thwackey versus the Crobat and Grimmsnarl. Pretty early on, this Grimmsnarl goes down to the switching in of Bisharp, as the Azumarill does switch out to save it for later days. Center Storage comes in for that, but does pick up the Bisharp and the Thwackey before allowing this Azumarill to just set up a Belly Dance and kill both the Centiskorch and the Swampert. In this game 1, there was just nothing that hits the Azumarill for super effective, you know? And it's always going to be tough.
Nothing scarier than a Belly Dance in Azumarill.
Yeah, as soon as it belly jumps, they can go for those Aqua Tails, and you have Centiskorch and Swampert, who, you know, hits super effective and neutral. It's not much you can really do. Swampert can't hit Azumarill too well. Centiskorch definitely can't hit Azumarill because it doesn't get anything that hits it super effective. So it's always just gonna be tough.
So Centiskorch hits Power Whip, and I was really surprised that she didn't bring Power Whip on it. Just as like sub coverage for the Azumarill, just in case.
Yeah, it would have been a good coverage move, but Centiskorch is one of, would it even have killed? You know, plus
well, it's in terrain, right? Grassy terrain from the Thwackey.
That's true. I didn't think about the grassy terrain, but you still have that Aqua Jet that's gonna just one shot you no matter what. But I mean, as soon as you can get Thwackey and Azumarill out, I mean, Centiskorch is kind of rough to use, and I think that's what Grimmsnarls were originally going for in this game 1. But since he didn't bring the Centiskorch early on, that's why change of plans, bring out Bisharp and do work that way. But I like seeing the Centiskorch out, so I'm a Centiskorch fan. Game 2, we see the same exact Pokemon for the Grimmsnarls, but we see a slight change. We see the Grimmsnarl go out for Metagross, and I don't know if this was a positive change, as I feel like Metagross also just didn't bring anything to the same matchup. But we see the Swampert get a couple of kills pretty early on against Cinderace and Bisharp. We saw the Cinderace in both games use Court Change, which does steal the Tailwind, which is something I tried back in the day. It didn't go well for me in real VGC, but it worked very well here, allowing that Thwackey to actually be pretty quick and do some damage even when the terrain wasn't out and stuff. So
yeah, I was really impressed. I gotta give Sam his due in this match. He actually used support Cinderace really well with coaching and Court Change very effectively. Both times he used. Well, I didn't think I would see Court Change once. He used it twice, and he used it effectively twice. Yeah. So that was really good. I was impressed by that.
Yeah, I think the way that could have been stopped is in game if just doubling up into that Cinderace could have really stopped that. But yeah,
right.
Even with the Tailwind, the Swampert was too slow. So this is a very slow Swampert.
I was so surprised by that. If it was just some speed investment, oh my goodness.
Yeah, it would have been a different game. Yep.
Yeah, this was such a close set. I can't reiterate how close this set was. It was really close. The first game was pretty close as well, and I don't know if you mentioned you didn't like the Metagross lead. I didn't mind it because she was using it to bait out. She had a ton of good switches the second game. I thought she was going to win the second game for most of it because she was making all these really safe switch. Not safe. They were good switches, almost like she knew what Sam was doing, and the fact that she also had Quick Guard Crobat to stop the Aqua Jet, or potentially stop the Aqua Jet from Azumarill, until like the last, like second to last or third to last turn of the second game, where I thought Quick Guard was coming out to stop the Azumarill Aqua Jet, but she didn't use it for some reason. Yeah, with the sets that these two coaches brought, even though it was a 2-0. It didn't feel like a 2-0. It just felt very, very tight.
Yeah, like I said, if that Swampert just had some speed investment, I think
exactly
it could have just went completely different. But I mean, those are the things, right? But I just felt like there was nothing for the Azumarill at the end of the day. If there was one grass attack or one grass mon or something like that, this could have been a different game as well.
Yes or no? Well, game two it was really tight at the end because if she had gone for Quick Guard to stop the Aqua Jet into Crobat, then Swampert goes down, but then the next turn, like Metagross gets a safe switch in, and then you have Azumarill going up against a Metagross and a Crobat with Quick Guard. So the Azumarill has to, it's essentially a 50-50 call at that point, right? So either the Crobat Quick Guards, so Azumarill has to play rough, or the Crobat doesn't Quick Guard, and Azumarill can Aqua Jet either the Metagross or the Crobat. But because she didn't go with the Quick Guard that one turn where Crobat went down, I think that was what's kind of sealed her fate that second game.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. The Quick Guard on Crobat is very good, and Sam had a lot of priority, or it felt like, he had Grassy Glide.
He had a lot of priority on his team.
Yeah, so it would have stopped a lot. And I don't know how much Play Rough does to Metagross. Well, it would have been a +6, so I would think maybe it KOs, probably.
Yeah, because the Metagross had taken damage, but...
okay, alright, so maybe it doesn't come down to that 50-50, I was thinking of that.
But I don't know how much damage it had taken at that point. Have to go back and see. I don't remember.
Yeah, and he also mentioned that Azumarill didn't have any speed investment, so Metagross would have outsped the Azumarill. So depending on how much, because Azumarill was pretty low on HP too, right? For most of that game, I think.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Well, either way, very close set. And
yeah.
I just think the missed Quick Guard was the loss right there. That kind of clinched it up.
Well, the Grimmsnarls off of that slide of 3-game losing streak. Hopefully the Machinos can win next week to get off of their slide.
Yes, fingers crossed.
Speaking of slides, we got your game next.
Oh,
that has nothing to do with the slide.
What a transition.
We got the 3-2 Bionicles versus the 3-2 Spoinks. Then we have 29-31 Pelipper Gyarados, 57-54. As we bring up team sheets, we see Armaldo, Cinderace, Dusknoir, Lucario, Persian, and Rotom versus Ninetales, Gyarados, Mandibuzz, Arctozolt, Salamence, and Gallade. And in game 1, we see you bring Lucario and Persian versus Arctozolt and Ninetales. And we see the Persian actually ends up killing the Ninetales pretty early on, but this Arctozolt is so fast, and you let it. Why didn't you bullet punch? I
don't know what I was thinking. This was a really bad set on my end. I think Ryan played really well, but I remember watching this back and just thinking, usually when I rewatch my matches, there's like a few turns, maybe like a couple turns that I think, oh wow, why didn't I do this? It would have been a lot more optimal. In this set, it was almost like every turn, every position, I was like, why did I do that? Why did I do that?
Yeah, you kind of let this Arctozolt go crazy, because if you bullet punched, you would have survived the Bull Break. And then
yeah, right, yeah, that
and
makes
then
sense.
you could just
So,
bullet punch it again.
I built this team really early in the week, and then we battled on Saturday, and I was trying to figure out what my plans were with this team. I knew I wanted Armaldo because Rock looks really good against his team.
Oh yeah, Rock looks very, very good against his team.
Yeah, and my plan was that, well, Armaldo doesn't work if Aurora Veil goes up, because then I don't get my calcs. And my plan was supposed to be to take out the Ninetales, like prioritize the Ninetales so it doesn't get Aurora Veil up.
That did good.
Yeah, except I didn't. He got Aurora Veil up every time, so because I never followed my plan, which was dumb of me. But yeah, the plan was to feint to cover for the protect on Ninetales, but it was always to feint and bullet punch the Ninetales so that it always goes down, because you have double priority and bullet punch always KOs at that point. And then Aurora Veil isn't up, and then hopefully whatever's in the back, which would be Armaldo, would be able to kind of just sweep from there. But I needed to get Rain up, or I had to get Trick Room up. And the game one I went with Trick Room, it didn't pan out.
No. As you did bring in the Dusknoir, and he does get doubled up by a Bolt Break and a Waterfall. Goes down pretty quick.
That was the right play on his end, and it was probably the obvious play, and I don't know. I just did not play well. It didn't even click in my head.
Soon as I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, he just bullet punches Arctazol here, and then you just like, I'll brick break Arctazol, and I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I don't know how much. I don't know if Bolt Beak KOs Lucario anyway, just because Lucario is pretty frail without the without the double. But it was pretty bad. Yeah,
I mean, the double makes it, almost like 250 power. If you negate that, it's only 120 power. So it's a lot different. It was a lot different. But yeah, Lucario's pretty frail. But yeah, it probably would have been the better play. I mean, Brick Break did bring it down. Was that? No, you didn't even hit it. It died. Game 2.
Oh, right.
Game 2.
Game 2 was the Brick Break actually hit. Yeah. Okay.
But so yeah, we see the Dusknoir, like I said, come in, dies to the Gyarados. Armaldo comes in, he dies also to a Bolt Break.
Yeah, everything just went down.
I don't know what his fourth mon was. I didn't watch his side of the battle, but I'm assuming it was Salamence, which means all of his Pokemon are weak to Armaldo. So
yeah, Armaldo was the win con here, and I didn't protect it, so that was my B.
What's good?
Sorry, Armaldo.
Is you brought it the next game, so that's good. Because we're gonna see the Persian, the Lucario, so same lead versus the Arctozolt Ninetales. You do prioritize going for the Arctozolt this time. However, the Ninetales gets the kill on the Lucario via Hail pretty early on, and the Persian goes down to Bolt Break as well. Bolt Break, click at Bolt Break seems pretty good right now.
Yeah, that's a good move.
Or no, Arctozolt. Oh, no. Persian killed Arctozolt, sorry. I was reading this wrong,
Oh, right, with the feint, yep.
Yeah. So, because you brought it down to pretty much no life, and then Feint took him out.
Yeah. I was expecting Brick Break to take him out, but that was when I saw that roll, I was just like, oh darn.
I think he was pretty bulky too, from the looks of it.
Yeah.
But we see Armaldo come in, and he's able to click some buttons. Rotom Fan comes in and just instantly gets annihilated by Salamence. But
almost.
The Armaldo just keeps clicking Rock Slide and everything's fine as he gets a triple kill here. He kills Ninetales and then he kills Salamence and Gyarados on the same turn. Even with that Intimidate, so that was pretty good of him. And you take this one with Armaldo standing there by himself, barely, but he's there.
Yeah, that was, it's the win con.
Yeah,
but I wasn't thinking.
All right, game 3, we see the Armaldo and the Persian, so going out for that Rain Dance, because the Persian had Rain Dance on it, versus Gallade and Ninetales as the lead on the Spoinks. This Ninetales has been a very popular lead for the Spoinks since week 1.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But Rotom gets switched in and gets decimated by Ninetales Blizzard. Gallade ends up killing the Persian, but Gyarados kills the Armaldo first, and then kills the Lucario, and this was a clean 4-0 by the Spoinks. I'm going to be honest with you, that was a clean 4-0.
It was very clean. It was very clean. I think I misplayed really, really badly just from turn 1. Looking back at it, the right play would have, because he led Gallade, the play would have been a Rain Dance instead of Fake Out turn 1, just so I get speed control, and then Aurora Veil doesn't go up that same turn as well. So that was the play, and I didn't do it because I wasn't thinking, and and then Ryan just swept me from there.
Yeah, I was surprised to see that Gallade didn't have Inner Focus. Oh no, his Mega gets Inner Focus. It's not him. That's right. I was thinking he got Inner Focus, but
I forgot he had a Mega. Yeah.
Yeah, right. I used to use it. Sableye plus Mega Gallade used to be my lead back in 2016.
The cape. The cape, right? Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
He had Inner Focus, and he was just really good, and people weren't ready for it ever. So 2-1 victory to the Spoinks in this one. Really good showing by both of you guys, though. It was a very fun game to watch. It was fun seeing the positioning. I like games when there's a lot of positioning, and there was a lot of positioning in this one by you.
Yeah, right.
The Spoinks just click the same button because that's all they really needed to do in those first.
I think Ryan played really well. You gotta give him his due. He played really well.
Yeah, he was able to position early and just keep that position. But going into the final game of the week, we have the Steel types versus the Flareons. We got the 3-2 versus the 3-2. Haxosaurus, Dracovish, 55-55. This is as even as you can possibly get with both of these teams. Of course, the Steel types on that 3-game winning streak after going 0-2 and being the statistical worst team in the league. We got Jellicent, Weezing, Munchlax, Haxosaurus, Frostmoth, Incineroar versus Vaporeon, Rotom, Whimsicott, Dracovish, Scrafty, and Mr. Rime. I always think it's funny that the Flareons have Vaporeon, but not Flareon on their team. It just, for some reason, it just every single time makes me laugh. And we see Jellicent, Incineroar versus Scrafty and Whimsicott. So setting up for a pretty interesting game. Neither of these leads have the advantage at this point. I guess Scrafty maybe has the advantage because it can hit Jellicent and Incineroar super effective. But we see the Weezing come in pretty early, which puts a lot of pressure on that Scrafty. But this Mr. Rime comes in, and it's just too much between the Mr. Rime and the Dracovish in the back. And they are able to just, slowly take out, because this was a pretty lengthy game. This one here, this game 1, and but that Dracovish just does so much damage with that, with the Fishious Wren. So able to kill Incineroar, able to kill Frostmoth. Mr. Rime kills Jellicent and Weezing, and Scrafty goes down to Weezing, the only death for the Flareons, winning this one 3-0 in the first game.
Yeah, this was a really weird game, because as I was watching it, I was thinking, oh wow, Rhett's playing really well. Rhett is playing a really clean game right now. And then Dracovish came in.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, Rhett was out of the game.
I was like, Rhett needs to just keep Jellicent. He needs to just not let Jellicent die. And I think when he lost the game was when Jellicent died, because Dracovish can't really do much to this Jellicent, because it can go for strength, sap, and all that stuff. So he just needs to kill everything that's not Dracovish and just keep his Jellicent, and I think he had this one, but unfortunately that Mr. Rime was able to kill it, so...
Yeah, I think the turning point here was, because Rhett was really he was in control the whole time, until that Dracovish came out, and then I believe he switched out the Weezing into Incineroar to get the Intimidate on the Dracovish, but then that's not enough for the Fishious Wren to not KO the Incineroar. So he gave up Incineroar freely that turn, and I think that was where it kind of collapsed from there. Yeah. Power of Dracovish.
Yeah, exactly. Next game, we see Jellicent and Incineroar, so changing it up 0%, and Weezing Haxosaurus is the last two, so getting rid of the Frostmoth for Haxosaurus, which I feel like is a good choice. Mr. Rime, Rotom H, so completely changing it up by the Flareons after having a pretty successful first lead, I felt like. And Whimsicott and Dracovish in the back, of course, bringing that Dracovish. Incineroar pretty quickly able to pick up 2 kills here, killing the Mr. Rime and then killing the Rotom Heat. Rotom Heat had no pressure on this lead right here. Jellicent, Incineroar, the Rotom Heat really doesn't put any pressure on. Mr. Rime didn't really do too much in this one either, but then we see the Dracovish and the Whimsicott come out. Dracovish once again killing that Incineroar. Rhett just giving up the Incineroar for the free switch in because he didn't want anything else to take the Fishious Rend. Bring in the Haxosaurus, which killed the Dracovish because this was not a choice. Dracovish, this thing had Protect and everything, so he is able to kill with the Dragon Claw, and that kind of sealed up the game as Whimsicott cannot do anything against Weezing at all.
Yeah, that was pretty. So, yeah, it had nothing for Weezing. Yeah, which makes sense. I mean, it usually doesn't besides Psychic, and Whimsicott doesn't usually bring Psychic.
No, Jellicent died to the Whimsicott's Energy Ball, I believe it was, which Energy Ball plus Moonblast does 0 damage to Weezing, so it was kind of clean just to keep the Weezing and just make sure everything else dies. It was a good game, a good change of pace by Rhett in that second game. Very
good adjustment by Rhett. Yeah, this was a really good game, and there was also a turn, pretty pivotal turn towards the end of the game where Haxorus was, what was it? What was there was one turn where Rhett was going. Oh yeah, he had Jellicent and Weezing on the field in front of Whimsicott and something else. I think it was Scrafty maybe. And
well, that wouldn't be this matchup.
It wasn't.
He didn't bring Scrafty in game 2.
Oh, okay. We ignore that.
It might have been game 3.
Ah, yes.
Which is Jellicent Incineroar versus Whimsicott Mr. Rime. So Rhett really enjoying what he did in game 2, bringing the exact same leads, but we do see the change up from the Rotom to the Whimsicott, which I think is a really good change up. But we see the Mr. Rime die the exact same way that he died in the game before to this Incineroar. Just not able to do too much to it. Scrafty comes in, gets the kill on the Incineroar. Whimsicott gets the kill on Jellicent. It's looking really good for the Flareons here. Mr. Rime down versus Jellicent, Incineroar, Weezing, Haxosaurus come in, which were just too much. Once again, the Scrafty also has nothing to really hit this Weezing. And, of course, that Whimsicott. And we already know the Haxosaurus outspeeds the Dracovish. So a nice timed Protect from the Haxosaurus helped it to kill the Dracovish on the turn after. And this Weezing can just keep clicking Dazzling Gleam and just... that's all it needs to do. And Rep picks this one up 2-0. Really good set of games here.
Very, very clean game 3. Yeah, this was the game I was thinking of in my head. Very, very clean by Rhett. Yeah, he had the foresight to preserve the Haxorus, and he found out that Moonblast was on the Whimsicott in game 2 for the Haxorus. So really smart to save that Haxorus at the end for the Dracovish because he knew it always outsped it as long as he denied Tailwind from the Whimsicott, and he was able to do it. So. Really good set. This was my set of the week. This was my definitely my suggested watch of the week.
Yeah, this one as a whole game, I would say watch this one. That other game too, I would say watch that one if you just want to watch I just want one game. I don't want to watch a whole set. But just watch that one. But if you want to watch a whole set, watch this one for sure. This was a really good game. Both teams brought it all. Some interesting sets, and I'm glad the Frostmoth didn't do anything though.
But it's good.
Let's go look at the kill leader now. So through week 6, we have the Weezing's Melodic with 16, Rebellion's Dragonite 15, Greninjas Togekiss with 15 as well. Primarina dropping a little bit in the rankings with 14 kills now. Machino Swampert still up there with 12. Arcanines and the Spoinks, Nidoking and Nidoqueen didn't even play this week, and they still have 11 kills still up there. Spoinks getting 9tails now up in that top echelon, and Starmie peeking into that as well from the Tricos. But you know what? I wanted to look at... There's a leaderboard you're on top of. Do you know which one?
Oh, no. Probably the bad one.
Because I thought it would be interesting to bring it up here because you're on top of it.
It has to be the bad one.
You are the league leader.
One?
And team deaths.
That makes sense, yeah.
You are currently leading the league with 54 deaths. That is 3 more than the Guzzlords, who haven't even won a match yet. How do you feel about that?
I feel pretty good. I mean, hey man, a lead's a lead, okay?
Listen, if you're gonna be on top of a list, you might as well, right?
Is there a trophy for this one?
Not yet. Maybe at the end of the season, we'll see. I'll talk to the upper echelon people. Wait, you're one of those You can make your own.
Let's make it happen.
Yeah, then we have the Guzzlords, who do have 39 kills despite not winning a game, which is pretty impressive, actually. Then we have the Kids, Delmise, the Beezles, Berserkers, Drapions, Stunfisks, and then Dragons. Despite the Dragons only winning 1 game as well, they get 2-0'd a lot, so they don't have as many deaths as, you've played the most games in the whole league, so it makes sense that you'd be on the top. But
that's true, yeah.
I just thought it was really funny when I was going through my stats. I was like, oh man, I gotta set them up for this one.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
But yeah, guys, let us go over to Rhett. Rhett is gonna bring a special. I think he's doing it every week now, right? He's gonna kind of do it. I think
so. Yeah. I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna go right over to Rhett, who is gonna bring you guys the breakdown of the playoff picture to see who could make the playoffs, how people can make the playoffs, stuff like that. So if you're interested in that stuff, definitely stay tuned for that, and we'll head right over to Rhett.
Thanks, Popo. Ladies, gentlemen, and NBs, welcome to the playoff race. We are starting off with Kanto today. Already, we have in week 6 a team locked for playoffs. Rebellion. Congratulations, Lucy and Flash and the Rebellion. They have gone 6-0. That means they are guaranteed a spot. Following close behind, we have 3 teams at 5-1. The Twin Leaf Town Tyrannotars and the Greedy Greninjas both at 5-1 plus 7, and the Alexandria Arcanines at 5-1 plus 6. Now the T-Tars and the Greninjas both have a very difficult end of season ahead of them. They are playing the same 4 coaches with an average differential of 3.75, so really that could be anyone's game to see who comes out on top. Now the Arcanines may be in 4th place right now, but the average differential of their last 4 weeks is 0.25. So they definitely have a good shot to pick up a couple big wins and potentially move way up in the standings. So those 4 teams are basically locked for the playoffs. The T-Tars, Greninjas, and Arcanines just need 1 more match set to really lock it in. But I would expect to see a very, very close race for those top 2 spots for the bye among those 4 coaches. The last 2 spots are up in the air. The Spoinks are positioned well at 4-2 plus 2. The Beantown Bionicles and the Worcester Stunfisks, both at 3-3 plus 1, could go either way. The next highest ranking is the Corpus Christi Kinglers at 2-4 minus 4. So if I had to guess, I would say we'll be seeing the Spoinks and then either the Bionicles or the Stunfisks in the final position. But there is still time for a comeback, so let's keep an eye on this and see what happens. Biggest matches to watch for Week 7 in the Kanto division are definitely the Twin Leaf Town Tyrannotars versus Rebellion. This is a huge one, actually has the potential to swing the top spot in the division. If the T-Tars manage to take down Rebellion this week, that would put them in the top spot of the division. No small task. Also of note, we have the Greninjas versus the Barnacles. The Greninjas need just 1 more match to lock in a playoff position. A win here could also give them some much needed momentum to get one of those bye spots, or even potentially take the top spot in the division. The Bionicles, on the other hand, also a playoff contender. They are fighting for their playoff lives. They are 3-3 plus 1. A win here would be huge for getting them 1 step closer to that threshold. A loss makes it much, much more difficult for them going forward. Moving on to the Johto rankings, we have another coach who's at 6-0. This time, 6-0 plus 10 auto, killing it this season. Definitely locked for playoffs. Very, very likely to take that first bye. The next highest ranking is our 4-2s. We have 3 coaches at 4-2 this season in Johto. We have the Bolton Bashers at 4-2 plus 4, Sussex Sableyes at 4-2 plus 3, and the Pittsburgh Steel Types at 4-2 plus 2. One thing you'll notice about the Johto rankings is that they're a little bit more spread out than Kanto. So whereas Kanto has 3 1-5s and 1 0-6, Johto only has 1 1-5. Everyone else is 2 and 4 or above. So that means that things are very much up in the air still in Johto. Likely we'll be seeing the Bolton Bashers, the Sussex Sableyes, and the Pittsburgh Steel Types clinching their spots in the next couple of weeks. The Grimmsnarls, the Weezings, and the Flareons all duking it out to get onto more stable footing. And then the Drapions, the Smokers, the Mincinos, and the Berserkers all have room for a comeback, but they're going to need to start winning, and fast. For Johto, we are looking at 2 very important matches this week. We have the Trixie Tricos versus the Sussex Sableyes. These are 2 top 3 teams, both fighting for the bye. The Tricos have a very solid position. If they get a win here, they are almost guaranteed that top spot. It would be very, very difficult for anyone to come back and take it away from them, if not impossible. The Sableyes, a win here would be a very significant step towards getting that second bye position. We will have to see what happens in this one. The other match I'm really interested to see the result in is the Great Lakes Grimmsnarls versus the Flint Flareons. These are 2 teams that are 3-3, right on the cusp. A win here swings one of them into a very good position to secure playoffs. The other one will be on their back foot going into the end season, but not out of it for sure, especially depending on what happens in the Weezings game. So that's it for the playoff race this week. We have a lot of great battles to look forward to this week that are going to have big implications for the playoffs. So I am looking forward to seeing you guys back here next week. Thank you very much, Popo and Theo. Back to you.
And thank you, Rhett, for that. Yeah, it's going to be an exciting race to see who actually makes the playoffs. I mean, there's still so many people who are able to make the playoffs. I mean, if you gotta get to 6 wins, there's a lot of teams that are at 3 wins right now that could just blow their chance, or could just go undefeated. Who knows? Even some of those 2-win teams, you know, could be in it. Who knows?
Who knows?
You know who knows? Rhett. And he's going to keep bringing you guys those videos until the playoff picture is clear to everybody. So that'll be exciting to see. One last thing I forgot to go over was transactions. It wasn't really too much. We had the Bashers dropping Archeops, which I'm kind of sad about because I loved seeing this thing for Aerodactyl. I get it. Makes sense.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and we see Togetic for El Creamy, which I guess is fine. I mean, you can go for Decorate. Choice Scarf Decorate stuff is always fun. So
yeah, that one I don't agree with, but we'll see what Bubble does with it.
Yeah, and I forgot to do that earlier because, you know, booster stuff, but...
Hashtag moment.
Yeah, exactly.
This isn't like a gang symbol that I don't know about, right? Like, I hope, you know, there are symbols out there that's... I'm not caught up with the times, so... Hopefully it's nothing serious.
I have no idea, man. I just wake up every morning and hope that everything's gonna be all right. So far, it's been okay. But anyway, guys, thank you, and I want to thank Theo for being here as the special guest.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. That's not Leaf, remember? It's not Leaf.
Not Leaf, and it's clearly depicted right here. So
no. Yeah,
right
there
here.
You go.
Yeah, sorry, there's a slight delay.
I couldn't change he didn't send me like the changeable one of this, so I was like, well, it's either this or like white over it, and I was like, this is just better. I'll just put not Leaf.
you did what you could, and it accomplishes the same goal. So
exactly, there you go. All right, well, thank you, everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.